My name is Lieutenant Colonel J. Karl Clark. I'm retired. I'm a professor of government and history here at Coastal Bend College. And today I'm been asked to talk about the United States Constitution and voting. Um, the Constitution was ratified on the 17th of September, 1787. That's the 17th of September, 1787. Do not get confused with the Declaration of Independence that we talk about. And people will always refer to it as July 4th, 1776, but we did not receive independence from England and the Treaty of Paris until 1783. That was in 1783, Treaty of Paris. I'm going to talk about three parts. One I already gave you was my introduction. The second part will be the U.S. Constitution, what I call 101. We'll talk a little bit of the history of the Constitution, how it came to be, and the form of the Constitution, and the articles of the Constitution. And then lastly, we're going to talk about voting and why do we need to vote and the importance of voting, and especially in Texas when we are ranked out of 50 states, in case you know there's 50 states, and we rank on an average 47th. Why are we 47th? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So without that further ado, we shall begin. Let me tell you about the Constitution of the United States. The preamble, the beginning of the Constitution, that thing that we hear so much about, but we know so little about. It says, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. I guess we're not doing so well on that part. Provide for the common defense, provide the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves, our posterity, to ordain or establish the Constitution of the United States of America. That is the outline. That is the purpose, the guiding principles of our Constitution. It says, this is the purpose of the Constitution. So, I had the pleasure, over 20-some years in the military, to swear in professional warriors that took the oath to serve the country for longer. Once again, support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I would stop when I would swear them in. I would say, what does that Constitution say? And they didn't have an answer. And I'd say that'd be a heck of a contract. You just told the American people you are willing to die for this piece of paper that you've never read. That's one heck of a contract, isn't it? And they agree, yes, that's kind of silly. See, I'm of the belief that the United States Constitution should be a whole course. It should be like government, Texas government. There should be a Constitution class before you graduate, because it is the rule book. It tells us how the government is to run, what the government can and cannot do to each citizen, what the government, federal government, can do and cannot do to the states of the United States, what the federal government can and cannot do to itself. It's how it is to be structured and who has say over what. For example, it has 7 articles that I'd like to cover. First 3 cover what we refer to as the doctrine of separation of powers. We have the executive branch, the President of the United States. We have the legislative branch with bicameral houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And then we have the judicial branch that interprets the laws of the land. That's the first 3 articles. We have articles 4, 5, and 6 that tell us about the powers of the states, how the federal government can act with the states, how the states can act separately, etc. Those are articles 4, 5, and 6. Then Article 7 establishes the procedures used by the original 13 states and which they are ratified. That's what the Constitution makeup is. That's the U.S. Constitution 101. That's what we looked at on the 17th of September, 1785. Interesting to note that we declared independence in 1776. We did not get independence until 1783 from the British. 1783. The Constitution is 233 years old. 233 years old. From 1776, this country is 244 years old. That means that we went years without the Constitution. They were called the Articles of Confederation, which obviously did not work well. They did not provide what the founding fathers thought they should be. So they created the United States Constitution, not to be confused with the Declaration of Independence, which tells the king everything is his fault, and that's why we want our independence. Now, the next thing I would like to talk about is an item that's mentioned in the Constitution, but is not spelled out in the Constitution. It's mentioned in variants of some type. 39 times in the Constitution this word is used. Voting, 39 times it's mentioned. However, it does not say in the Constitution that you as a citizen have the right to vote. Isn't it interesting? After World War II, with Japan and Germany, we specifically spell out in their Constitution, over the age of 18, you have the right to vote. Isn't it interesting In the Constitution in Afghanistan and in Iraq, we spell out over to the age of 18, male and female, you have the right to vote. In the United States Constitution, it does not say that. It does not say you have the right to vote. It does say, and I would like to quote 5 times, in fact, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged. It's mentioned in the 15th, the 19th, the 24th, and the 26th Amendment of the United States, and we'll talk about those. The 15th, the 19th, the 24th, and the 26th Amendment of the United States. Those items are mentioned. Now, as a history/government instructor, and the reason I say that is I've always believed that you can't teach history without knowing government, and you can't teach government without knowing history. A little bit of history. Civil War amendments. The 13th Amendment, 1865. It dealt with outlawing slavery. 14th Amendment, 1868. It grants citizenship and equal civil and legal rights to African Americans. Some refer to it as emancipation. The 15th Amendment, in which we are going to emphasize on, guarantees the right to vote cannot be denied based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude or of slavery. Let me say it again. Cannot be denied based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Notice it does not say you have the right to vote. If you read it carefully, and there's 2 ways of reading it, it reads as a discrimination statement, not as a statement of you have the right to vote. It says you cannot be denied based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Then in the 19th Amendment, it says basically the same thing for women in 1920. The same thing for women in 1920. In the 24th Amendment, which deals with prohibiting poll taxes in federal elections, which was in 1964, and later in the Supreme Court ruled in 1966, you cannot have poll taxes in state elections. The last amendment I like to refer to is the 26th Amendment, 1971, extends voting rights to citizens age of 18 or older. It's one of those that I always find interesting. I've brought up to my troops many times. I've brought up in class many times. You can be 18 to vote for the highest office of the land. You can be 18 to fire around to an M1A2 tank. You can vaporize somebody on the other side from an M1A2 tank, but you're not old enough to have a beer. Something to think about. That's the 15th Amendment, 19th Amendment, 24th Amendment, 26th Amendment. Remember that, if you will. 15th, 19th, 24th, 26th. The 15th Amendment, in detail, it says, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on the account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Once again, it's the discrimination type clause. It doesn't say you may or may not vote. And then what happens throughout the United States between there and the Voting Rights Act of 1965? That's 95 years, by the way. Is discrimination. Any way you want to put it. Black codes, Jim Crow laws, whatever you want to call them. We put up literacy tests. We put up poll taxes. We put up any means possible to oppress a certain type of ethnicity so they cannot vote. So they cannot vote. For example, after the Civil Rights Act of 1965, after the Civil Rights Act of 1965, we had approximately 12 African American people that held federal offices, predominantly congressmen. And we had some 600 African American that held state offices, or local offices, I should say. In 1965. In 1965. Think about that. So you ask yourself, does the Constitution say you can vote? The answer is undoubtedly yes, you can vote. I've got to find my one note here. Okay. So you as citizens of the United States have two questions that you have to ask yourself. One is, should you vote? The Constitution is written so you should vote. You have the right of citizens of the United States to vote. Shall not be denied or abridged. It's the way the document is written. It's just like the document is written, it says you have the right to bear arms. It doesn't say everybody shall have arms. It says you have the right to bear arms, etc. Second question, Besides whether to vote, you have to ask yourself, who do you vote for? How do you determine who to vote for? Well, there are many ways. Today, you can look it up on the internet. State.gov, Texas.gov. They all break down all the people that are running. All you have to do is put in your zip code. Local papers, Texas Tribune, they'll help you explain who's running for offices, etc. Look at their parties and what they stand for. Are they like yours? Do you like what they're representing? And then you should vote. For example, in the past, in national elections, with Texas having one of the largest populations in the 50 United States, we have voted 47th. 47th. Out of 50 states, we have come in 47th. That's what our average is. I'm sorry to say that is sad. That is very sad. What are we talking about? Who is running? Well, we know the big news obviously is we have a presidential election. We know that's happening. We have a senator that is up for election. United States Senator who's up for election. We have 36 United States House of Representatives that are up for election. We have a railroad commissioner who's up for election. We have 8 state board of education commissioners that are up for election. We have 4 Texas Supreme Court judges that are up for election. We have 3 criminal court of appeal judges that are up for elections. 3 criminal court. All right. In the Texas Senate, we have 26 senators that are up for election. In the state House of Representatives, we have 150 representatives. Oh, by the way, we only have 150. They are all up for election. You ask yourself why you should vote. You understand that I just covered the national and the state level elections. I did not cover the local elections. I did not cover the justice of the peace, the county judges, because I don't know if they're up for elections in Atascosa or if they're up for in B or in Kleberg or in Jim Wells. But we vote 47, which means if we're not voting for the President of the United States, then we're not voting for the justice of the peace in Jim Wells County, or in Kleberg, or in B, or in Atascosa. There's something wrong with that picture. We need to get off whatever we're doing, and we need to vote. Now, for example, on elections, there are 43 days left between now and national election, November 3rd. November 3rd. Early voting in the state of Texas is October 13th to October 30th. That means that as of Friday, September 18th, we have 25 days before we can start early voting. 25 days. As a citizen of the United States, I think it is our right and our duty to vote. I want to thank you for this time. And once again, my name is Lieutenant Colonel J. Karl Clark. I'm a professor here at Coastal Bend. I've been here for about 14 years, and I've loved every minute of my time here. I love educating students, and I love my job, and I hope I pass some knowledge and enlighten at least one or two students since I've been here. Thank you, and God bless America.